Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to So Well Media. We're here with our CinemaCon presentation recap of the Warner Brothers panel. This is day 2 of CinemaCon, and this is one of the big presentations that everybody been looking forward to. A lot of projects come from Warner Brothers, even after the consolidation with Paramount and everything. But regardless of that, they still came in and cooked. But yeah, we're gonna start off with here when Warner Brothers went off and started off this presentation announcing a new division within their company. This is a new indie film division studio, Clockwork, and this is more separate division within Warner Brothers just to create more independent films with the distribution of Warner Brothers. Yeah, Jake, what's your thoughts on that? I think this is actually a good idea. Great way to expand in storytelling, though. But I don't know, what was your thoughts?
When I heard the news about Clockwork and it being more of like their way of distributing indie films, but under their, umbrella, I thought it was a really good thing, because that means there's a lot more opportunities for people to get their films out there through big budgeted studios and see how they do, and hopefully get a good promotion as well. But this also makes it another, because this is what, like, the fourth or fifth indie division within like most of the major companies outside of Paramount, funny enough. So it just adds another I think it's a good idea. When I heard about this and I heard what it entails, I'm like, you know what? I'm all for it. I'm proud of you, Warner Brothers. You did a good job there, Now let's see. And I think they also have a film attached to it already to put out with Clockwork. I don't remember what it's called, but I know that they at least have one that they're ready to, start off with. So, they're getting the ball rolling, ball rolling with it.
Yeah. And then, with this in presentation, we had Jack Black, showed out and, came on stage, even though he was there for the Jumanji presentation at Sony, basically just announcing everyone, hey, thank you for supporting Minecraft, and that there will be a Minecraft sequel in development and set to release in 2027. But yeah, now I mean, again, I thought the first one was, was fine. Again, anytime you put Jack Black in a video game property, is going to make money. It is what it is. Yeah, but Jake, what's your thoughts in terms of them also just announcing that that a Minecraft sequel is in development and that will be releasing in July of 2027?
I mean, I don't think any of us are surprised that this was gonna happen, just with how crazy. I don't remember if I don't remember if it was this band. It probably was, but I think they also just apologized to all of the theater workers. We are so sorry for Chicken Jockey. We did not expect it to get like that. But hey, but the sequel is happening. I mean, we've been known that. It's just now we know it'll be coming out July of next year. And of course, as we found out, Kirsten Dunst is also going to be in the film, being the one to play Max, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because she's now sporting red hair. So, the more we start to learn about who's returning and what it entails, it'll start to come out over time, especially when they start filming for this. I don't believe they started filming for this because Jack just got off of filming Jumanji. But, we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty sure it's going to do just as big as the last one. I don't know if the story's going to be better than the last one, because the last one was something. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. It's going to do well. I already know it's going to do well.
Now, there was also small talk as they're kind of glossing over a few projects and stuff, not showing any footage or anything, but just talking about films that are in development right now. This is a prequel film of Ocean's 11 called Oceans. Basically, it's following the parents of Danny Ocean at the 1962 Monaco Grand Prix, and it's set to release in 2027, starring Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie. Now, I know this project was kind of in development hell, that it got delayed, it got pushed and everything, and then we didn't know if it was coming out, if Margot Robbie is still attached to it. But no, when they're showing a quick reel of this projects that are in development, Margot Robbie showed up, and not on stage, but in the video, saying, hey, guys, we got we were making Ocean's prequel and everything. We said to come 2027. See you next year. So, again, I'm a fan of the Ocean franchise and stuff, but this is kind of interesting to see a prequel of, of the parents of Danny Ocean, and this film will come out 2027. Again, following this kind of type of scissor reel that they had, it's just kind of going over the next few films come out next year. The next one we got Evil Dead Wrath. This is gonna be a film, another horror film within the Evil Dead franchise releasing next year. But there is another Evil Dead film that's still coming out this year, which we'll talk about later on. But now in this scissor reel, we get to see highlighting Man of Tomorrow, next Superman film, directed by James Gunn, with David Corenswet and Nicholas Hoult, and basically, they're coming and saying about this film, how Superman and Lex Luthor are teaming up to go against Brainiac. That has been announced, and it now is currently in production, and they're shooting right now in Atlanta. And they said that on the video, they're saying they're trying to save the world with your sworn enemy. It's going to be very difficult. It's a new villain and unlikely alliance. Which a new villain mean Brainiac, which is the first time we get to see him live action in this capacity and everything. Fan favorite. But yeah, Lex Luthor and Superman will be teaming up in this film. And as of now, there's been a logo of the film that's been released online. It's of the Brainiac symbol with the current Superman symbol. Looks cool and everything, but they'll be back next year at CinemaCon presenting footage when this movie comes out in 2027. What was your thoughts on this Man Tomorrow? It's in the production and we're currently shooting right now.
I kind of already knew it was going to start filming around the time it did, because Rachel Brosnahan, who played Lois, was on Hot Ones, First We Feast, and confirmed that they were going to be filming. When that video came out, it was the week before CinemaCon, and she said they would be filming that next week, which was CinemaCon. And I mean, again, they really just said unlikely alliance and all that stuff. There wasn't too much to it, because it's like we already know a few things, like Superman and Lex teaming up, Brainiac being the main villain, Jon Stewart from the Lanterns show, Aaron Pierre is going to be in it, as well as the rumor of a certain other person who has been cast in it, but we still don't know the full details, whether she is one character or another character. We are still very unsure of at this exact moment, until James either just decides to tell us or leave that for whenever that official trailer drops, or if he decides to drop a photo, kind of like how he did when he unveiled the Superman suit. Well, we shall see. There is not much we can say with this, except Superman did what it did. Really great film. I think we both enjoyed it. And let's just hope that this keeps up the momentum that it has brought, and what even Peacemaker has set up for it. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm looking forward to this film. Now we have some Supergirl footage and stuff to talk about, but that'll be after this sizzle reel. Next we got a new film starring Keanu Reeves. We see him in the sitting in the water and talking to, hey guys, I got a new film based where I'm gonna be eaten by a lot of sharks. He's a lot of effing sharks. And that's really all. He's just said, hey, we'll see you guys next year in your theaters. And while I'm shooting this film, Shiver. Not much to it, but another Keanu Reeves film that's coming out. And now the end of this scissor reel from Warner Brothers, like of their upcoming slates, was Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. We see a little bit of footage, at least the animated scene they have of Gollum in a cave, and him just talking to himself. But it's coming out theaters in December 17th of 2027 with returning stars Ian McKellen, Elijah Wood, Lee Pace, Kate Winslet, and more are confirmed to return. We also got Jamie Dornan joins the cast also as Aragorn. Not much to it. This was a big project that everybody's excited to see. Again, I know it's gonna be a big one for next year. What are your thoughts in terms of the Lord of the Rings? Again, now it's happening. There ain't no myth. It's happening with the returning cast coming December of 2027.
I mean, I just remember when this news dropped and everyone's like, wait, they're making another one? I'm like, yes, they're making another Lord of the Rings. It's like, why are they hunting for Gollum? I'm like, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I'm glad that they're able to get everyone back again. Some people were surprised about Ian McKellen, but I'm like, hey, look, he's coming back for Doomsday as Magneto. So the man still got some energy left in him. And it's like better to get him now than to not be able to get him when he physically can't. Plus the fact that we got, the rest like Elijah Wood and Lee Pace, coming off the heels of Thrag and Invincible. Just getting everybody that we can back is like, you know what? I'm all for it, We'll see how another Lord of the Rings does in theaters, and we'll see if it's as long as many of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films can be sometimes.
Right. Right, with the 3-hour cut and everything, and then some. But I also want to show that I actually got some merch when we're leaving the presentation. This is the Warner Brothers, the big picture presentation here. But on the back, what you see here is that you have all of the announcements or films that are be coming out not only in 2026 but 2027 and 2028. And you see here there's a lot of films now. It's online, you can see it that shows it to you. But you got
Mhm.
the films, and some of the films already came out this year. But we got Dynamic Duo coming. The DC animated film Dune Part Three, Cat in the Hat, Clayface. But we got new film called Margie Claus, which they show footage there as well. But yeah, Hello Kitty film, the Lunar Chronicles, and they also got the Batman 2 as well as a new Conjuring film, The Conjuring, The First Communion. And yeah, now a bunch of other films, Bad Fairies, I think, oh yeah,
Mhm.
starring Cynthia Erivo, but which we'll go into that. But yeah, that
Yeah.
concluded that in terms of quick scissor reel from Warner Brothers. But the presentation was not over, because then here we go as we highlight a new film that is actually out, original film, but this took a long time for one of the biggest stars in the entertainment industry, Tom Cruise, and under director Alejandro Inarritu. I'm not butchering that name, but yeah, this was a film for the 9 years in the making. Cruz said this is his most challenging role, and basically playing an old character with gray hair, fake nose, and the belly, kind of going into his, Tropic Thunder, vibe and
Mhm.
everything. But we saw the trailer, which they showed, definitely kind of giving this type of dramatic performance, which could honestly lead to Oscar nominations. I'm not even gonna lie, but the way they're going with this, yeah, not much really to the story other than they show footage and showing how the process of this film, and working with this director and working with Tom Cruise. Again, having Tom Cruise come back and not only just a new original project, but with Warner Brothers is really good to see. But and then they released a poster of the film, but we saw the trailer. I don't believe the trailer came out online yet, but yeah, what was your thoughts on Diggers, starring Tom Cruise, that can be coming out later, I believe, next year?
Now, I don't think the trailer for it has dropped online, but I've seen the poster a while ago, for it, or at least like the first poster. And I was always like, huh, I wonder this could be, but it's like now getting the descriptions that I have from CinemaCon, I'm like, you know what? This could be, because it could be in a similar case where it's like, how it was for The Rock and Smashing Machine, where it's like, they're not playing their conventional selves, they're playing someone else, whether they be a real person or, a made up character, but like someone that is not in the, peak Tom Cruise shape, even though he still will be just under obviously a freaking suit, or in the peak Tom Cruise face, and everything because of the prosthetics. So I'm definitely interested to see Tom be challenged. I'm pretty sure there will be some of his usual Tom Cruise isms in there, but the fact that we're trying something different here with him is what I'm definitely interested to see. Again, I don't think the trailer for it has dropped, but the poster has, and I've seen the poster plenty of times now at this point for over like a month. So I can say it's like, you know what? I'm awaiting this trailer to see exactly what Diggers has to offer, but we shall see.
Yeah, I believe John Goodman's also in this movie as well. But the trailer is also like, yeah, where Tom Cruise playing like this rich, millionaire or billionaire, most likely billionaire, while there's a catastrophe that's happening in the world, going on. And but yeah, it looks interesting. It has a very kind of like a hue around the term how the camera is shot, in terms of like this color scheme of the film, very like gray, very kind of muted, but at the same time this film is very comedic as well. So it's interesting to see what they're doing here, kind of getting like almost like a Wes Anderson type of
Mm.
way of shooting a movie. But again, it's still cinematic in all of it, way that the footage they showed though. But that film, I believe, either be coming out later this year or next year. Double check, but that's the film Digger, starring Tom Cruise. Now, Mortal Kombat 2. We had some footage that we saw, extended scene of Johnny Cage fighting Baraka, and him fighting Shao Kahn, and doing some famous Johnny Cage, hit him where it hurts the most, type of fight style in the game and everything. But now, I will say this: I I am a Mortal Kombat fan. I thought the first film was okay during the pandemic. Still why I went to the theater to go see it. Just hey, it's a Mortal Kombat film. But hopefully, from the looks of the footage they showed, that they're that they're learning from their mistakes, and the fact that they're going to go to not taking themselves too seriously, and using iconic character like Johnny Cage, and then starring Carl Urban. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with this. But aside from just the footage you already saw of Johnny Cage, what was your thoughts? Are you excited for Mortal Kombat 2? Are you worried about this film might not deliver after the first film? What's your thoughts?
From everything that I've seen, and I mean, hell, by the time we're recording this, they had the like both fan events and I believe the red carpet for this already. So, you know, people, there are some people that have already seen this and have said, like, yes, this is the film we should have got the first time. And it's just like, you know, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I have both played and experienced the stories of the games. I've like like when it comes to Mortal Kombat, it's like here for me, you know, it's very important to me. So that first film, I was not mad at it like other people, but I could understand the gripes with it. But this film, from everything that I've seen, I'm just like, you know what, this feels right. This feels like we're doing it correctly this time, you know, which is kind of funny. Whereas, like, you know, the original Mortal Kombat film was the closest we could get, and then that second one just felt all wrong. It's kind of the inverse now. But yeah, no, I am definitely excited for this. Again, by the time this comes out, the movie will either be out or about to be out within a few days. So I'm just hoping that this indeed does do well. So unlike the last time, we can get a Mortal Kombat 3 and we can continue to adapt the story of the game, or even tell some original stories that do make sense within the world of Mortal Kombat onto the big screen, you know? So I feel like we'll be okay with this. But I mean, again, we're a few days away from the film coming out, so we shall see. But I'm trusting this right now.
Now we get into the world of not DC, Warner Brothers animation, and start with the new film with Bill Hader, Cat in the Hat. Now, I saw a little bit of this footage when it was undone last year at CinemaCon, and now all the visual effects and everything is done. I actually think this film is going to do very well. I think the animation here looks intriguing. Again, bringing Cat in the Hat today, the modern audience today. Also, the story that they're trying to tell here, just from the footage, looks very interesting. And again, animation, I think families going to enjoy it. And because it also has some adult humor as well, along with, you know, humor for children in a way. But I think this film can be very smart in terms of how it entertains the family and everything. But at the presentation, they gave us a bunch of blue wigs and stuff so we can put our lace fronts on and act like we're the things, you know, I'm thing one, thing two, you know, whatever. Yeah, that was funny. And they took a picture of us in the audience and everything with our blue wigs and stuff. I didn't carry that stuff. That's how you catch lights and everything on. Anyway, yeah, couldn't even fit me. They try to snatch my wig off, whatever. But nah. But yeah, the Cat in the Hat will be coming out later this year. Now, going into DC. Let's get into it. Now, after a time of this recording, you guys saw the trailer that we saw at CinemaCon, and this is the trailer for new DC Studios film Clayface. It's described as a riveting horror thriller that emphasizes the studio interest in character rather than genre. And the footage we've seen showing Matt Haven's face falling off and everything, see him deformed, then kind of see him in the traditional Clayface manner, kind of giving a sense of like the substance a little bit in there. But as if you're a Batman animated, you know, fan, anime series fan, I think definitely that trailer was a love letter to you. And a love letter to that entire series, but just especially the episodes with Clayface as you get to understand him. But now this is set in the DC universe, in the same canon as Superman. I had to ask that question multiple times. Like, wait, is this in the same universe? Like, yes. And however, this is happening before the events of Superman. So this is the first DC studio film that's happened non-chronologically, but it's still. We've seen Clayface in the DCU on Creature Commandos and everything. So we get to see, and you see a little shadow of him with his arm, you know, and as a weapon and everything in this, but definitely giving like Joker vibes, you know, with Joaquin Phoenix, but low budget, but yet the visual effects just looks absolutely amazing, especially in the bathtub, him, you know, pulling his face down and everything. Now, again, this probably, hopefully is some test footage for you, so when you learn how to do the question. But anyway, That's I'm not gonna jump the gun there. I'm a fan of the question, but just make that into a series. But we got Clayface will be come out in October of 2026, my birthday, be a fact. What was your thoughts on the footage of Clayface? The footage, the exact same footage that we saw at CinemaCon.
I have been saying this ever since that trailer came out, for us online, and even when it was being described at CinemaCon before it dropped online, I'm like, this has the opportunity to prove to people that there is not one way that you can do a comic book film. The fact that a lot of people looked at this and like, this is uncomfortable, this reminds me of The Substance and everything, and then you remember this is a DC Studios film, this is in the same realm, and yes, now we also know this takes place before Superman, so chronologically, unless there's any other film that happens to be like this as well, this is the technical start of the DC universe, under James Gunn. It's just crazy that people are like, this is in the same realm as Peacemaker, this is in the same realm as Lanterns and Supergirl. It's like, yes, and I'm hoping that this film really does show people that there's more than one way to tell a comic book film. Like, this is one of Batman's most iconic antagonists, and you're giving him this much love, in terms of this, and I'm just like, this is going to be something else, and I really am awaiting for when this film comes out, so that way just people walk out of that and are just like, that was something else, and in the positive way, and again, this also gives us our first look at the DCU Gotham, whether given the fact that it's in the past, right? There's a lot of Joker imagery, yes.
So
yeah,
I have no clue,
like,
clue, and yeah. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the fact that it looked low budgeted, I hope they make a good box office return and perfect time during Halloween season. I think it's gonna get all the money in that because
it was originally slated for, I think, like August or September, but then they delayed it to October, and I'm like, that was the perfect delay because you're putting it, I think, at least a week before Halloween. That was the perfect decision right there, because now Halloween will be the month of Clayface. It'll be the day of Clayface.
Yeah, cannot wait. But yeah, so Clayface will be coming out later this year. Now, Supergirl. This, I was shocked, but the footage they showed. First, they had Millie Alcock and Jason Momoa on stage. Jason Momoa came out on a bike, and in the Lobo bike and everything. As a start presentation, he's saying this was a dream come true, talking about playing Lobo, and then it's the comic that is the he collected the most, and he feel like a 12-year-old, and just freaking out on set and everything, in the makeup and everything like that, and seeing the trailer like he's just having a great time. Now, Jason also says that not to ask him, who will win the fight between Lobo and Aquaman. Instead, he wants them to team up if possible, if that's happening. But they're saying, Aquaman and Lobo, 2030, and they're just kind of teasing the fact that he used to play Aquaman in the previous DC regime. Millie said to audience, people will walk out of theater basically excited to see that they saw Supergirl in the cinema. And and I will say this: the footage, description of the footage we saw shows fighting on a space bus with Kara recharging in front of a yellow sun, and she also mentioned that to Superman that he's a freaking nerd and that he sees the good in everyone, and I see the truth. And he bet that entire scene, see extended scene of basically these space pirates, capturing the ship with Kara and I forgot the younger supporting actress in this. I forgot the character from Woman of Tomorrow that's playing her. But they're getting hijacked by these space pirates, and then basically Carl's trying to get out of it. You see a bunch of these different aliens speak. Some of them are speaking English, some of them are not speaking it, and everything. But now people will give a criticism and say, well, just giving Guardians of the Galaxy type of whatever. The only association you're giving is the fact that this James has done space before, and the fact that in his realm, that even though he's not directing this film, that he is producing it, that anyone thinks that this is just giving Star-Lord type vibes to it, right? However, I would say that as she's trying to go escape to try to save everyone on that bus, they're in the middle of space and they're trying to say, hey, how close we get to yellow sun, right? And then all of a sudden she's like having she gets, apparently she's depowered, so she might have some like red sun radiation where she doesn't have her powers fully. But then once she gets to the yellow sun, like in the vacuum of space, you see her slowly freezing, and then all of a sudden the sun pops up, and then all of a sudden she starts getting her powers. And the way it was shot, I thought was so beautiful. And just as a DC fan, I was geeking out. And I was like, man, this is what I'm talking about. Like, man, it's just like, again, the visual effects of this is 10 times better than what we saw in Superman. I'm not trying to come down at saying that Superman looked, god awful or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but this looked crisp. The vacuum of space, even the details of her hair when she's in space, and in the heat vision and everything like that. And I thought the way they played it off, I was like, oh man, that was awesome. The fact you saw that, yeah, she's trying to get close to the yellow sun, and as they're shooting her closer to the sun, not realizing it. And as she's getting stronger and stronger. And I don't know. I didn't try to jump the gun here, no pun intended, but that this potentially could be my favorite female superhero film we've gotten. Again, compared to what we've gotten so far, I'm not saying it's not a hard battle, but unfortunately, but I am really looking forward to this film, not because you just have Lobo, but also this version of Supergirl, and I want to see how you fully do her, and also adapting the Woman of Tomorrow storyline in your own way, right? But yeah, what was your thoughts? One, just the fact that Millie and Jason show up on stage, but also we've gotten at least 2 trailers at this point for Supergirl, which will be coming out later, I believe in June of this year.
From what I've seen of all the footage, I will say this as well. Yes, not to take shots, but it definitely does look better than Superman in a lot of capacities, especially with like the flying or just like some of the battles and things like that. And again, from what was being described here, just the fact that Millie was like, "You're going to walk out of the theater saying thank F that I saw this in a cinema," is just like, okay, so it's going to be one of those experiences. And from what I'm seeing, I'm like, I'm getting that, but I'm just like, what does she mean by that? Like, what does she mean we're going to be like, thank we're so grateful that we saw this in a cinema, just by the fact that we experienced the story of Woman of Tomorrow in a cinema, or is there something more to that? Also, again, them going over Lobo, I'm just like, I'm happy for Jason. He's been wanting to play this since like before he was even cast as Aquaman, for a very, very long time. So it's like, him getting to fulfill this dream. And hopefully, I am hoping that the audience also does take to Lobo in a good way, so that way we do have a project with him, be it a show or another film, spinning out of this, maybe even with some other characters, of the cosmic side of the DC universe, that could also chime in here or get introduced into, his project, kind of like how he's getting introduced in through Supergirl. Again, just everything that's been described and everything that has been shown, I am very much excited, and especially as you said, like, for people to see this side of Kara Zor-El, because I know a lot of people have a certain opinion or a certain idea of how Kara Zor-El is. Sometimes they think that she's extremely, hot-headed. Sometimes they think she's like a bubbly character, depending on what iteration you've seen. But Kara is a mixed bag when it comes to that. Sometimes she will be brighter hope than Clark. Other times she could be, as we're kind of seeing here with Millie. And I'm hoping to see that good blend when we see it, so people can understand that Supergirl can have many different types of, dynamics, the type that is fun loving, but also the type that you wouldn't be surprised to get like a Red Lantern ring in the future.
Yeah, that would be insane. But yeah, Supergirl will be coming out later this year in 2026. Next, we get actually another 20-year sequel of a movie, Practical Magic 2. This film about witches and all that stuff, with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock. The first film came out almost 20 years ago at this point, and we saw the first trailer of this movie. We have Patton Oswalt on stage as he's kind of like hosting the presentation. He really dragged this on to the point where I just didn't give a damn about this trailer. I'm just like, get to Dune, come on, let's go, right? And spending way too long than they needed to, and make a joke about Nicole Kidman, AMC saying, hey, we are at the movies. This is where all that stuff. And yeah, but I haven't seen the first Practical Magic. But yeah, what if you've seen the first one, J King? If you have, what are your thoughts on the sequel coming out in the trailer that's been revealed online?
I haven't seen the first one, but I do remember when I was collecting all of this news and saw that Practical Magic 2 was being announced. I remember a friend of mine was like, wait, really? Like, so I know that there is an audience for this. And I do actually want to see it because, like, looking from what I've seen of it, plenty of actors that I do recognize, from over the years. And I'm just like, it could be interesting to see. And I did see, because the trailer now has officially dropped online, for the public to see, the one that you guys probably saw at CinemaCon. So it definitely has me intrigued, one, to go and look at the original, but also, it has me intrigued to go back and look at the original, but also to see how this one does. So it definitely, at the very least, has piqued my interest and gotten me interested in something I'd never seen before, a film that almost 20-year-old film that I'd never seen before. So if anything, it indeed has, caught my radar. I can say that. We'll see how the second one goes. But yeah, I did also hear that it was dragging out. And while I do find the whole, us making jokes about, we come to this place for magic that Nicole Kidman has become infamously known for, there are a lot of other things that we still got to talk about. So it's like, yeah, kind of, Patton Oswalt, you can't look like it's almost like what happened at the Game Awards with Kratos' actor. It's like, come on, man, pick it up, hurry up. We know you got a lot to say, but come on.
Yeah. Going to that, I'm gonna not give this movie any more time. There's a new original film by J.J. Abrams. He came out on stage talking about this film is like a lot of world building, a science fiction film that he created. It's starring Glenn Powell, Jenna Ortega, Emma Mackey, and also Samuel L. Jackson. And this film will be coming out later in November of 2026. Not much really to it. I couldn't even tell what the movie was about, even from the trailer. But we know this is starring, Glenn Powell, Jenna Ortega, and Samuel L. Jackson. Very interesting, trio there. But again, Glenn Powell is becoming a leading man in Hollywood and stuff. So again, I'm looking forward to it. Jenna Ortega also doing great. But this film will be coming out in November of 2026. Now, I'm going to get to big stuff, right? Dune will happen when they transition to the Dune presentation of the show. We have now started seeing a bunch of Fremen coming on stage as they're chanting the new chant for Paul Atreides from the trailer. And yes, it was ore farming to 1,000. Yes, he felt it. And then even to a point after they're all lined up there on stage, then they did they had two people on the crane going up in the top of the ceiling as they were like in Dune when they're floating in midair and stuff like that. They did exactly the same thing. They just shot up and just went up and stuff. So they definitely set the stage for that. But we had the director Denis showed up on stage with returning Jason Momoa on stage as well. And finally, we had Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya in the flesh on stage there. And basically talking about this is the end of the Paul Atreides story. Saying they took a while to basically formulate this story because you read Dune Messiah, that basically is kind of combining the Dune Messiah book, but also Children of Dune as well, into a certain capacity. Because there is a time jump where I think it's like a 17-year time jump within the film, but they showed us the first 7 minutes of the movie. First 7 minutes, credits, all of that. But before they get into it, Paul is basically saying this movie, Paul is dealing with the consequences of his actions in a world different from the previous two films, right? Paul is struggling to retain the parts of himself he sees the most. And it's a broken love story. Was in Daya's Shani has lost all of her youthful outlook of the universe and everything. Momoa reveals how his character, who he's coming back, but remember, his character died, Duncan Idaho, died, but then his new character returning, saying that I'm being sent as a gift, but I'm a different guy. I believe he's I forgot what the character's name, Rage or something, or some what I forgot like in the books what his character playing, but he is a clone of Duncan Idaho, from the first film of Dune Part One. So yeah, so he's a clone. He's different. Different person, but same actor. But yeah, the first 7 minutes basically highlighting just the devastation of war across the universe under the name of Paul Atreides, right? We see Javier Bardem as well leading the fray into this war, and we're seeing basically a bunch of destruction happening and this new weapon where it's basically just killing people on sight once they step on the ground. The sound design, everything was just spectacular, but definitely giving like some type of I want to say what's the word for it? Like Vietnam War type of style to it, just in terms of the sheer wrath of death and violence and everything happening, and also when people just speaking in fear of just getting afraid of what's going on. And I think that's the point about this, that this film is representing war, but also representing just the consequences of war, and that all of it leads just to devastation. But yeah, the footage, the sound of the first 7 minutes was spectacular. Again, this film be coming out on December 18th, 2026. They ain't moving that date. They're staying and taking all the IMAX screens and everything. But we saw, at least we had the first trailer that's been revealed to the public. But the 7 minutes we saw, you guys gotta wait and see. But J King, what's your thoughts on terms of Dune, Messiah, even with just the trailer, but also just the stuff they're talking about with the story of Dune Messiah and what the conflicts these characters are going to go through in this movie?
I mean, I am very much, look, we are awaiting the day that we get to December 18th, Dune's Day, and we'll definitely talk about the other half of that when we get to the Disney panel, but just everything that they set up for Dune 3, which looks to be the end, it looks to be the final one that they will be working on, unless they change their mind a few years later on down the line. It definitely is setting up to feel like a massive event, a massive, like, this is the end, or we're not pulling any punches when it comes to this. And just the descriptions of, like, Chani has lost all of her youthful outlook. She's not as hopeful anymore. She doesn't know what's going to happen. And Paul wrestling with trying to be who he was versus who he has become over the last couple of years. Even now, we got Paul's, sister, who was only seen through, visions and, all that stuff, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, now being a full-fledged character in here as well, and seeing how she factors into the plots. And again, the clone of Duncan coming back as well. Like, so much of this is just, again, there's things that I know, even though I never read the books. There's things that I know that I am excited to see, and things that I am just curious as to where they decide to take this final chapter for Paul Atreides and for this world that we have been witnessing since 2021. I'm very, very interested to see how it all wraps up. Whether we will be satisfied or whelmed with that is going to be another thing. But I mean, hey, it's going to be a long day anyways. It's going to be a long day anyways for cinema goers. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for Dune 3.
This film will come out later this year in December. And again, first 7 minutes, Warner Brothers, they came and cooked. But yeah, that concludes the presentation for Warner Brothers. Again, they announced a bunch of other things coming down the line on the shirts. As you see, they mentioned about Batman Part 2, mentioned about Conjuring, Aegon's Conquest, a Game of Thrones film coming as well. A bunch of stuff that's coming later, not only in 2027, but 2028. But Warner Brothers, they came, even amidst all the controversies going on with this consolidation of Paramount and all of that, they delivered. So yeah, and then and as of now, the deal has finalized. Pen and paper is happening, it's proceeding with that. Shareholders have approved, and this is going to be moving forward. The only time to see in terms of what these projects that have been announced or have been said they're in development going to, because it looks like Paramount definitely going to need that roster of slates in their theaters in the coming years and stuff. But we'll go into Paramount later on in another video. But make sure you subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts in terms of announcements from CinemaCon. And again, we got more interviews and coverage from CinemaCon 2026. A lot of footage there, a lot of presentations I'm also going to show when we're able to record for the Disney presentation. But yeah, we'll see you guys next video. Peace.